This book behind me right now, Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace, is a healing modality. And I've known people who are addicts who have used this book to help overcome their addiction. I've known people who are depressed and lonely and use this to reconnect to a world and become optimistic again about life. And today we are going to hear from David Foster Wallace himself about why literature should be a healing modality. And when we're done with that, we're going to have a discussion about where literature has gone and what you can do as a writer to help heal others with your work. Because if you're not doing that, then what the hell are you even doing here? And if you guys don't already know, my name is Ian, and on this channel, Write Conscious, we cover the greatest authors and books of all time. And obviously, Wallace and Infinite Jest are in that category. And I already have a huge playlist with videos on Wallace and Infinite Jest down below. So if you are interested, subscribe and watch some of those videos when you are done with this one. And so let us hear now from Wallace.
I guess when I was in my 20s, like deep down underneath all the bullshit, what I really believed was that the point of fiction was to show that the writer was really smart. And it sounds terrible to say, but I think, looking back, that's what was going on. And I don't think I really understood what loneliness was when I was a young man. And now I've got a much less clear idea of what the point of art is, but I think it's got something to do with loneliness and something to do with setting up a conversation between human beings. And I know that when I started this book, I had very vague and not very ambitious ambitions. And one was I wanted to do something really sad. I'd done comedy before. I wanted to do something really sad, and I wanted to do something about what was sad about America. And there's a fair amount of weird and hard technical stuff going on in this book. But I mean, one reason why I'm willing to go around and talk to people about it, and that I'm sort of proud of it in a way I haven't been about earlier stuff, is that I feel like whatever's hard in the book is in service of something that, at least for me, is good and important. And it's embarrassing to talk about because I think it sounds kind of cheesy. I sort of think, like, all the way down kind of to my butthole, I was a different person coming up with this book than I was about my earlier stuff. And I'm not saying my earlier stuff was all crap, you know, but it's just, it seems like, I think when you're very young and until you've sort of, you know, faced various darknesses, it's very difficult to understand how precious and rare the sort of thing that art can do is. You're welcome to cut all this out if this just sounds like, you know, a craft product or something.
No.
Okay, everybody, down in the comments right now, tell me why you are here. Why are you trying to be a writer? Why are you engaging in a dying art of communication that will likely lead you to frustration and $0? Because I will stand up right now upon David Foster Wallace's shoulders and say, if you're doing it for any other reason other than the healing component, THC, for yourself or for others, then what the hell are you doing here, everybody? This channel is called Write Conscious, not make money from books so that you can get laid. We already have enough entertaining literature. We already have enough great prose stylists and interesting stories and ideas and genre fiction to shove down our throats forever. We don't need any of that. What we need is updated versions of the stories of the past, of ideas, and put into a modern context so people can use them to transform, because literature is the greatest modality of transformation because it enables interiority. You can get into other people's minds and see how their mind functions and then refract that onto your mind and be like, maybe I'm not thinking correctly in the world, or maybe I can be more like them, or holy hell, I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be like Hal Incandenza or like really anyone in Infinite Jest. Or I want to be like Don Gately. I want to raise myself up like some of these addicts and start going to more meetings and start getting toward these ideals. And a lot of us, myself included, start with literature because we have this educational trauma, because we want to show everyone I'm the best. I get emails, Instagram messages all the time. Remember my name. My name is Jack White, and one day I'm going to be great. I'm going to be on your bookshelves. Remember my name. I get those emails all of the time. Time to slow it down. Don't get me going, everybody. And I feel sad because I'm like, Jack, this isn't about you. I don't need to know your name. You're not going to probably be remembered. But what you can do here and now in the moment is heal yourself and heal others through literature. A lot of the time, as a beginning writer, you're writing about your stories, processing trauma. It's almost like this journalistic experience. When you look at a lot of great writers, like in Infinite Jest, Wallace is working through a lot of mother trauma. In some of his earlier novels, he's working through a lot of his inadequacy issues with his metafiction and with other things, and feeling competitive with other writers. In Cormac McCarthy's first novel, The Orchard Keeper, it's all talking about his father trauma and trauma from being raised in this kind of small southern town. And that's important. And when you see a writer go beyond that, when you see someone be like, well, they're not like, but when they finally become independent and are working on their own creative stuff and process some of that trauma, it's actually a really beautiful thing to see. And when you look at their life, when they move past that, they actually become better people. When you look at Wallace at the end of his life with The Pale King, even though it didn't necessarily come together because it was unfinished, and rewriting is important, as I talked about in yesterday's video, he was doing something that was wholly original. Infinite Jest steals a lot. It's an imitation at some level of Pynchon and other people. And it took McCarthy a while. It took McCarthy until Blood Meridian and Suttree to really kind of escape the shadow of Faulkner and Melville and Hemingway and other authors, and eventually kind of becoming his own Western author with the Border Trilogy. And I want you to go through something similar. And if you want to focus on yourself, that's what you should be thinking about, how this is going to be a medium of healing. And you really need to love writing, because it's going to be painful. You're going to have to sit down, you're going to have to work through stuff and work with these characters. And you could do this through other means. You could do this through art therapy or the talking cure or any of these other ways. You don't have to be a writer. I'm not going to judge you. No one else is going to care if you hit a flip-flop on us right now and go be a musician. Or if you're a musician becoming a writer, I'm talking to you, Cinemartyr. We need you. But I want you guys to be here with me now. I want you to see yourself down the road. You don't need the fame. That's not what this is about. I want you to see that better version of yourself that didn't grind it out, that didn't focus on what other people thought, but grew as a human and as a writer at the same time. And the best part of that experience isn't necessarily what happens with you, but it's the reciprocity you get back from other people. I've wanted to give up on this channel 10,000 times, everybody. But for 4 years of this channel, I had less than 100 subscribers until like a year and a half ago. And the channel has now exploded. And I was like, why am I doing this? But there would be people who would like say to me and email me, hey man, you should have 10,000 subscribers right now. You're doing a really great job. You've really helped me. This is what I'm going through with my wife or my husband, and yada, yada, yada. And then I remembered that when one suffers, we all suffer. That the point of art, the point of speaking, the point of really doing anything in life should be for the great work, which is helping raise everyone up into a higher phase of consciousness. And the only way we can do that, unfortunately now, is through healing trauma, because a lot of people have PTSD, have these traumas. And I commend David Foster Wallace for tackling such a big issue as addiction, as broken families and narcissistic mothers and absent kind of weird fathers and these kind of weird fetishes and drug habits these characters have, and showing us a way out, because he took that way out. As much as you want to criticize Wallace about his earlier life, from what everything I've read about his later life, he did a pretty exceptional job once he got married as a human being. And a lot of the stuff that he wrote did serve as a healing modality and probably moved him into the net positive category of human influence. I mean, obviously, Infinite Jest already brought him there, but you guys have nothing to prove to me. You have nothing to prove to anyone. You don't have to sell a lot of books. You don't have to be better than Cormac or Don DeLillo or Frank Herbert. But if you write something specific for a specific group of people who has specific needs, and my God, if it's a fiction piece of work, not some nonfiction, drudgery, that's talent. That's beautiful. And if you make no money from it, you get to join the net positive camp. You get to join the writeconscious crew. That's what the name means, writing consciously. And if you write consciously, you will consciously enhance other people's consciousness. And so drop the dreams. Drop the dream that you're going to get out of your job or be able to finally tell your wives, hey, honey, look, I finally made it. And accept where you are in the moment now. Find the abundance where you're at now. Right now, you can watch read the greatest books of all time. You can watch the greatest YouTube channel of all time, Write Conscious, all for free, all for just an internet connection or a library card. You don't need anything to engage in working out or being in love. You don't need anything. You don't need money to date people. I dated women and had girlfriends with $0 with no job. Kind of sounds a little bit bad saying now, but you can do it. And so I'm asking you guys to walk with me with all your weird shit. You guys are crazy out there. This audience, the guys I talked to, I don't know what's in that head, but if you guys unleash it, you're going to be able to find that group of people going through what you're going through and help awaken them and be a thought leader for them. And I'm going to be excited to see you do that. And I'm going to be like, holy hell. I never imagined that we could take an angle on this, but that's our opportunity now, that there is now, because of the openness of the world and how people are thinking and how we can probe into other people's minds, we can go to these weird niche areas, not with genre fiction, not with fantasy, even though you can use those modalities, but with just plain fiction and speak to people. And if you go that deep and if you're that personal and focusing on that kind of small of a group, you don't need an Instagram. You don't need an Instagram page. You don't need to be published in a journal. You don't need any of that. All you have to do is go to those people and then tell them, I am here now. I am the leader. I have stepped out into the light. I have written a conscious piece of work, and it's time for you guys to read it. And it's about this, which you are very much experiencing and into, and they will read it. It's no different than anything else, except that you are most likely putting way too much pressure on yourself, thinking that you need to be as good as these guys. Listening to me say you have to rewrite and do all of this. If you want to be as good as them, yeah, you're going to have to do that. If you want to be famous and break free of those niche groups and like make a lot of money or have a big impact and be remembered in the canon forever, but we don't need everyone to do that. We just need everyone to do a little, and that will do a lot. I don't need you to quit your job. I don't need you to do any of that. The people that need your help don't need that either. That's what's most important. You don't have to make the sacrifices David Foster Wallace did by going so deep into so many different large categories and being thorough with it. You can work on that over the course of years through short stories or just working on a novel or through poems, nonfiction, spoken word, music, art. And if you can't do any of that, just support people who are doing it. Give a thumbs up to one of my videos. Go to a writing event by Don. Don DeLille doesn't give events, but take a drive, take a flight, go to a conference, like do something to support the community. And if that's all you can do, that's good too. But the worst thing you can do is nothing, because we are in a dying art, and it's our own fault. I can sit here and blame the publishing houses all I want, but writers as a whole are some of the more self-centered, egocentric, self-conscious people that I've ever met, who are willing to not transform or put any real work to get their writing out there. It's insane. I know, guys, I was in MFA programs. I've known people who are beast writers who can smack me around, make me look like a little middle school writer, and they refuse to promote their work. They refuse to actually do anything and share their work, even though it can help people. They think that unless they get a literary agent and follow the perfect path, that they're a failure. And then that failure starts to compound and they start to view themselves differently. And one of these guys is now a technical writer. He writes like manuals and stuff. What? This guy at 22 was writing stuff that could compare to some of these authors on my shelf stuff. Now he boo-hoo-hoos because, the large literary journals don't want him. He's too good for them to want. They don't publish good people all the time, Anyway, don't get me started on that. And so don't be one of those people. Take action. Find your group. Lower the expectations on yourself. And eventually you'll gain the skills and be able to produce that epic work and have a whole group of people behind you supporting you and being like, yeah, let's do it. I'll read your stuff. I'll edit your stuff for free. How many of you guys right now, if I said, hey, I need you to look at my short story and edit it. I don't have any money for you, but if you've gotten any value out of this, I'd love for you to help me out. I would be honored. You might say yes. If a couple thousand people watch this video, at least 100 of you guys are saying yes to that. I just got 100 free editors just by giving value out to you guys. You guys will help me because I've hopefully helped you. That's the same type of thing can go on. Focus on that now. You can build that one by one. As I talked about earlier in this video, I used to make videos. I made over 200 videos and never got over 100 subscribers, just as good as this video. Maybe I didn't have this nice lighting, but I was talking just as good. And some of those people, some of those 100 are still here now, and they're still appreciative, and they still talk to me, and they still support me no matter what I say, because I would say stuff back then that was even crazier than the stuff I say now. And they've been here through thick and thin. And if I asked something of them, if I needed to sleep on their couch, they'd probably say yeah. So we heal by gaining trust. We heal by being a part of a community, not being these lone wolves. Would you trust a healer back in the day if he just comes out of nowhere and says, hey, I'm going to fix everything around here? You'd be like, get the hell out of here. But if there's a known person in the community who does something for a certain group of people, that's who you would go to if you needed help. And even though we live in a post-literate world, people are ready to be awakened. People are ready to be lifted up. And it's your job and my job to help lift them up. You don't have to have a YouTube channel. You don't have to be on social media. You don't even have to write. But there's something that you can do consciously.